Okay, we have finished all of the lowercase letters, if you've stayed with me through day 9. And on day 10, we're just going to review those, and I'm going to have you write just 2 or 3 of each letter before we start our uppercase letters tomorrow. So all the way back at the beginning, the first letters we did were I, U, and T. So we're just going to take a little bit of space on your paper to review each letter. So with our lowercase I, we start at the bottom line. We come up and touch the dotted line, come back down and put on a tail, and then our dot is last. So you can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase i's. Okay, next we learned the lowercase u. I'm just going to stay here on this same line to save paper. The lowercase u looks very similar to the lowercase I. You come up, touch the dotted line, back down, up, but then one more time, just like that. So that's our lowercase u. You can pause this video and practice about 4 lowercase u's. And then next we learned lowercase t. Lowercase t starts at the bottom line, curves up and touches the top line. You trace that line back down, put on a tail, and then you cross it just a little bit above the dotted line. Lowercase t. Okay, you can pause this video and practice writing about 4 lowercase t's. Okay, on day 2, we talked about R, S, and W. So R, you start off the same way. You start at the bottom line, you curve up to the dotted line. Then you have that tiny slanted line down, and then the tail of your R. Curve up, small slanted line down, and then the tail. So you can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase r's. Next we had lowercase s. Lowercase s starts out the same way, from the bottom line to the dotted line. Then remember, it had the little point at the top and kind of a little fat belly right there. And it comes back and touches, and then comes back out with the tail. So it's up, back and touch, tail. Okay, you can practice, pause and practice making 4 lowercase s's. And next we learned lowercase w, and we've practiced it quite often in our words we've been doing. So we're starting at the bottom, curving up just like when you made this U. The only difference in the U and the W we're going to make is the handle. So it's up, down, up, down, up. There's the U. Then we put the handle on it and it becomes a W. So you can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase w's. Okay, on day 3, we learned lowercase E, L, and H. Lowercase E is one of my favorite letters to make because it's so easy and it looks really nice. When you start at the bottom line, you curve up and come to the dotted line and you get to loop around and then put on the tail. So it's one tiny loop. You don't pick up your pencil at all. Remember, you don't want your loop to be too big. Just want it small. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase e's. Lowercase L looks just like the lowercase e. It just goes all the way up to the top. So we're going to start at the bottom. I'm going to curve up, loop around, and have the tail. So the only difference in these two is that the L goes all the way up to the top line. You can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase l's. Okay, the lowercase h is very similar to the lowercase l. You start at the bottom line and you make an L. But when you come down from the L, instead of putting that tail on, you stop right here at the bottom. And you just trace that line back up to the dotted line and put on your heel and then your tail. So it's the loop, the heel, and the tail. Loop, heel, tail. So you can pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase h's. Now the next day, I guess that would be day 4, we learned B, K, and F. So B is very similar to the H. You're going to start at the bottom line, you're going to loop up, you're going to come down, but right here, you are going to go on up, touch the dotted line, and kind of curve back on yourself just a little bit. See how I curved it back towards the loop right there, but you don't touch. Then you put on the tail, or the handle, I'm sorry. So it's a big loop, curve back on yourself just a little bit right there, but you don't touch it, and then the handle. Okay, pause this video and practice making about 4 lowercase b's. Now the lowercase K is very similar to the lowercase h. You loop all the way up to the top, you come down, you're going to trace that back up to right here, and up until this point it looks just like an H, doesn't it? But right here we're going to curve in and come back and touch and then come back out. Some people make it where they don't touch. It doesn't really matter. You know, you can have it open a little bit right there, or you can touch, as long as it doesn't look like an H. You don't want it to look like an H at all. So you can pause and make 4 lowercase k's. Okay, now for the lowercase f. The lowercase f starts out at the bottom line, goes up and loops and comes straight down, just like your L, H, B, and K, except when it gets right here, it's going to go down into the basement. Okay? Then it's got that loop around to the front that comes up and touches, and then the tail. So you want to make sure you get this part of your F in the basement of the house. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase f's. Okay, on day 5, we practiced J, P, and Q. Now J goes all the way back up here to the I, sort of looking like an I. It starts out at the bottom line, curves up and touches the dotted line, and then falls straight down into the basement. And then it curves around this way. You know, you're kind of not used to curving around this way a lot. But you're going to curve around this way, cross that line, and then the tail. Then you dot your J. So dotted line, down into the basement, loop around, and the tail, and then last the dot. Okay, you can pause this video and make 4 lowercase j's. Okay, we're ready for lowercase p. Lowercase p is going to start right here at the bottom. It's going to come up and touch the dotted line, drop straight down in the basement, just like the J did. It's going to curve around to the back, but it's going to come all the way back up to the dotted line. Okay, then curve around and the tail. So up to the dotted line, down, all the way back up to the dotted line, and the tail. Okay, pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase p's. Okay, now we're on lowercase q. The lowercase q is going to start at the dotted line. It comes around and closes. You just make that little circle. then it falls down into the basement, and it curves around this way. So make sure you curve around to the back and then come back up for your tail. So the round part, drop into the basement, curve around to the back, and then your tail. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase Q's. Next we made lowercase A, C, and O. Alright, so lowercase A starts out just like your Q. It starts at the dotted line, comes around, closes, then you trace that back down and put on the tail. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase a's. Now the lowercase C starts just a tiny bit below the dotted line, because you have to have that curve on the top of your C. Then you come down, and then it has that handle that reaches out. So you make the curved part of the C and the handle that reaches out. Okay, you can pause and practice making 4 C's. Okay, your cursive O is very simple. You start at the dotted line, you make the round part, and then you just put on your handle. The round part, put on the handle. Now you're going to see some people make a lowercase O like this with the loop in the middle and the handle, and that's fine. You can make an O that way too. This is just the way that I've always taught how to make the lowercase O. So you can choose, you know, now that you're getting better at your cursive, you can choose which one of those you like better. So pause this video and practice making your lowercase O's. Okay, on day 7 we learned D and G. D is just like making the lowercase A. You start at the dotted line, you come around, you close, but instead of stopping and coming back down, you keep on going all the way up to the top. Then you trace that line back down and put on a tail. So it's the round part, close it, go all the way up to the top. Okay, you can pause the video and practice making 4 lowercase D's. Okay, lowercase G starts the same way at the dotted line. You come around, close it, then you're going to go down and drop down into the basement. This time you're curving around to the front. And you just cross and put on the tail. Okay, you may pause and make a row of lowercase g. Okay, on day 8 we learned V, M, and N. Our lowercase v starts at the bottom line. It goes up, touches the dotted line, comes back down, goes back up, and then has that handle. Up, down, up, handle. Up, down, up, handle. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making 4 V's. Our lowercase m, remember, instead of having 2 heels like a print M does, it has 3. It starts at the bottom, dotted line down, back up, down, back up, down, and tail. So it's got 1, 2, 3 little heels. Okay, you can pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase m's. Next we have lowercase n, which is just like the m, except it has 2 heels instead of 3. So 1, 2. You can pause this video and practice making 4 lowercase n's. And then yesterday we just practiced our X, Y, and Z. So remember, our X starts at our bottom line. It goes to the dotted line, comes back down, and comes back up to the dotted line, like just a little squiggle. Then you pick up your pencil and cross. So it's up, down, up, cross. Up, down, up, cross. Pause this video and practice making lowercase x. Okay, next we have lowercase y. You're going to start at the bottom. You're going to curve up to the dotted line, come back down, come back up, just like you did for your x. But then you're going to drop down into the basement, curve around this way, and put on the tail. So up, down, up, drop into the basement, tail. Up, down, up, drop into the basement, tail. So you can pause this video and make 4 lowercase y's. And last but not least, our lowercase z. I think it's a lot of fun to make. You're going to start at the bottom. You make one little heel. Then you make a tiny heel right there beside of it. So big heel, then a little heel, and then that little heel drops down into the basement, curves around, and puts on a tail. So again, you're curving around this way. So you can pause this video and make 4 lowercase z's. Now we won't practice any words today. You can actually practice any words you want to now that you've learned all your lowercase letters. Just don't practice anything that has a capital letter. And tomorrow for day 11, we'll start our capital letters. See you then.